All right, we are back. It's practice underwater. It's Friday. You know what time it is. So we put out a feeler a couple weeks ago because we've had a few female owners on who have been more of the domineering type, and we were looking for maybe someone relaxed. George and I talked about it in an outro. We knew they were out there. We finally found one. Her name is Katie. She's coming on next. She's what she describes as a more chill person. Still doing really well. She's in a startup in the 6th month of the startup. So I'm excited to have her on. George, what did you think of it all?
Yeah, I think we sometimes get some crap about only having men on the show. And it's not like I don't respond to the females that email me asking to come on. We just don't get females emailing us asking us to come on. And so every female we had gotten was like this, runs through staff and like not fun loving, like, and Matt, don't take this the wrong way, but they are a lot more like you in your personality type than me. I'm a lot more fun loving as an owner. And I think we were looking for somebody like that to show a different side because we don't want to paint this inaccurate picture of females who own practices. And so, Ashley, who was on a couple weeks ago, was our first. And this is now our second, Katie, who, I knew. And, so anyway, this is really good. And I made fun of Matt. Oh, man, this is good. So there's this one, you got to wait for this, okay? There's this part, Matt, this is a startup. This is a new practice. Like, what is this, like 6 months old?
Yeah.
7 months old? And so Matt, he stumbles on the branding. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. He tries to fit in with the startup crowd. Well, obviously not startup people.
That is not what I was doing.
No, he was like, yeah. So like talking about your branding, it was hilarious. So look out for that one. That I was cracking up in the car when I heard that, and I made sure to make fun of him when I saw him about this. So listen to the branding comment. That's Matt stumbling upon the startup culture. Matt trying to fit in with the cool bandana and the startup group.
I think everyone listening will agree that is a ricochet shot by you, George. It's not well received over here. Somewhat offended. Whatever. We'll move on. It's fine. Here's Katie. You'll see. I'm very well voiced in the startup world, George.
Yeah, and he's an authority. Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. We have our fake name, real guest, Katie, here with us. Katie, how are you today?
I'm good, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. You originally came to us after George and I's little rant about looking for a female, maybe who had a little bit more of a gentle touch. You said, that sounds like me. So thank you for that.
Sure. I'm still fairly dominant, but I feel so much lazier than all the other females that you've had on the show. So you spoke to me a little bit.
Good. Yeah. No, we knew you were out there and we found you. So I'm super happy. So you sent us a very nice long intro email. I go through a little bit of what you told us about kind of your background and the practice you are the owner of now.
Sure. So I graduated a few years ago and I found shared practices pretty quickly on after being an associate because associating wasn't the easiest thing for me. Because I do, I am a gentler female, I guess, but I still always knew I wanted to be my own boss. It took me a while to figure out the pathway towards a startup. I tried to buy a practice. It took me a long time to figure out where I wanted to practice. And then it all kind of came together when I figured out what I wanted for my life and where I wanted to live. And actually, George helped me with that years ago. So once I saw the opportunity, I kind of went for it and I found where I needed to put my startup. And we started going from there. We opened about 7 months ago.
Nice. How's it been?
It's
the first answer is a sigh. Okay, nice.
It's mostly good. Yeah. I mean, it was a very stressful time. Very, very stressful time at the beginning. And I feel like now it's a bit easier, but COVID kind of messed everything up.
Yeah. So you guys, you started in October, right? Mm-hmm. And then, your 4th month in, this all hits?
Yes. That was very scary. I was always very conservative in the way I paid myself. Like I still don't really pay myself much. So I had a lot of cash sitting in the bank. So I knew that I could pay my expenses if needed. I still went to the office every day for my mind and to be able to do something. And I just wanted to be able to see enough emergencies that pay my rent. And that's what we did.
Yeah, it seems like you guys were decently busy even during that time, which is nice to see.
Yeah. We got emergencies. We one nice thing that we did actually was we went out to all the urgent cares in the area and gave them our information and our cards. We got a lot of emergency patients from that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure they were somewhat inundated with all the dental offices being closed, and
They were.
You guys could step
Yeah.
up. Tell me more about the office. So it opened in October 2009. Like, what do you have for staff? What are you doing in terms of your numbers so far? How is everything going?
So for staff, I got really lucky. I hired an assistant that I had worked with previously at another office. She is amazing. She reads my mind. She's very young, so I'm still coaching her a little bit, training her on a lot of different things. But there's a reason that we can see the number of patients that we do, just her and I. I have tried to hire another assistant, and it's interesting. They actually self-select out. They quit pretty early on if they're not a fit for the team. My front treatment coordinator, she found me, and she's also been amazing. She's really invested. She lives in the area. She reads my mind in a lot of ways too, so she's helping me with that. I think we do need more help. I'm just really scared to hire more people. We have a really good thing going with our personalities right now. So that's really, really nice. And like I said, I tried to hire more people, and it didn't really work out. And on the days that one extra person was, I don't know, it threw the balance off. So I'm very cautious of hiring a hygienist, another assistant, another front desk, all of that. I think that's something that I'm kind of weak in right now.
Yeah, get into your hygiene plans. Like, so you're doing all your own hygiene.
Yeah, I'm doing all my own hygiene, and I hate it. But after COVID hit again, no hygienists really want to work. That's kind of a problem, and they're demanding quite a lot. A hygienist personality in general is a lot, also. And I want to be the strong personality in the office because I feel just so vulnerable in my first year. So I need a hygienist most likely. I would love for somebody to sit with me and look at my schedule and figure out, is it just 1 day a week we do it, 2 days a week? Because all my recalls are due at this point, and I'm doing their pro fees, and I can whip through them pretty fast, but it's exhausting.
Yeah, I can imagine. Why not look right now?
I think it's a trust thing. Like I said, I think I'm worried about the hygienist personality in the time of COVID and the demands that they're going to make. And maybe that's just me being on Facebook too much and looking at how everyone is complaining about the hygienist and all the hygienists are complaining about the dentist. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know.
Yeah, I think actually, I shouldn't even ask. I think hygiene's been canceled according to Business of Dentistry and the other forums. So, it might be over now. But in all seriousness, no. I'm a bit confused. Like I kind of see you like projecting issues that might happen in someone's personality that you haven't even met yet.
That's
why not just see what's out there and maybe be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I do. I need one. You're right. I do need one.
I mean, or you could continue to kind of work yourself to the bone and burn out in your second year.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I only work 3 days a week. It's 28 clinical hours, and we boom through the day. But even on those 3 days a week, you're right. I am, even being back for just 1 month, I am burning out again. I'm exhausted again. So I need help. We have enough operatories for it. We're all set up for it. Do you think I need to hire a full-time one? I also worry about hiring part-time people and buy in with culture and patience and, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, say you bring on a full-time hygienist, they're not going to be filled from the bat.
Not at all.
You have 340 patients. You are seeing 50 new patients a month. So your number of active patients will grow to, upward, to 1,000 within about a year or so, maybe even sooner. So she would definitely get busier and get more full as the year goes. So I don't know if there's going to be like a right time where I kind of see you more just getting into it, seeing what's out there and adding one.
So you're saying adding one full time or? and being okay with the fact that they're not going to be totally busy.
That's where I would go. Now, I do want to say I'm not a startup guy. This is not my realm. So, for the listeners and for you, please take that with a grain of salt. Um, but I think it would be a worthwhile experience for you to get a little out of your comfort zone. Because right now, kind of the impression I've got from your email and just talking so far is, I mean, you care a lot about this office, like a lot. Reputation is everything for you, and that's great. But you have your hands everywhere, and you're afraid to take it away from an area. You're afraid of giving away an hour of patient time, right, especially a new patient, for the hygienist to do cleaning versus you. And I think I don't have to say it.
Agreed.
That's going to hinder your growth.
I do remember hearing on one of your podcasts with another woman. She actually is pro the doctor seeing new patients and doing their prophy, and I'm actually pretty on board with that now. I think that's why we have so many reviews, because I get that time with them. But I never did it at the other offices I worked at. I hated doing it when I was at those offices. So long term, am I going to want to do that? Probably not. But I see the value.
Mm-hmm. Well, sell me on that idea, and then I'll give a rebuttal.
I don't know, like, for lack of a better term, like, I just like shoot the shit with my patients. It's fun. Like, we laugh a lot together. I get to know them. I live in this area too, so I know I'm going to see them out, and it's pretty quickly we can connect on something. But even going deeper than that, I actually haven't really looked at the Practice by Numbers dashboard, but I feel like my case acceptance is pretty good for the healthy patient population that I have, and we're starting to get more Invisalign, and I wanted to initially just be planting seeds for aesthetic work to be done in the future. So some of that is starting to come back through in our 6-month recalls and with the Invisalign and stuff like that.
Okay. I mean, I guess my response would be, what is, and not to pit them against each other, but what is ultimately more important, like your reputation and your relationship with your patients, or operating more like a business, increase profits, working less hard, working less days, maybe? Like, yeah, you're going to lose some of that patient relationship. Some. You're not going to be with them for an hour. You're going to be with them for 10 minutes. But, which side outweighs the other?
Yeah, I think that's the startup dilemma, because I think the reputation and the relationship is the more important side probably in the first year, because it will lead to more of the business growth in years later. Maybe this is just my sweat equity and it's my excuse. I don't know.
I would just challenge you on how much time you think you need with the person to make a really strong connection.
I also feel better than I feel better that I remember them better too. Minutes. And I find more, but a hygienist can do that. I think that's another reason I haven't looked for one, because I want a really good one. Really good one.
Yeah. No, and I mean, you can obviously, like, you're all set up to do it yourself for now. You can take your time in hiring. I'm in the hiring. I'm looking for a couple employees now, and it's really hard. Whether that be because the increase in unemployment checks, maybe people aren't looking as much. I don't know, but it just may organically be a slow process. But yeah, that's just the kind of impression I got from your email, was that you kind of getting run ragged. COVID allowed you to step back and kind of reset. So I'm sure you got your energy back now. But continuing months and months again will catch up to you. I don't know if I need to tell you that. Talk to me about how you marketed before you opened and after you opened.
So I read all of Scott Luda's thread in Dental Town when he does his startup. So I basically, I tried to build a brand with a color scheme and everything. I built my own website. I need to get somebody to rebuild it because it's just meh. But it works, and it can be found on Google, and it doesn't look bad, that's for sure. Then I did mailers. I had somebody design them for me, and we did every door direct mail for that with a free whitening offer for all new patients within a certain time period. That was a big initial kick. We actually get calls about that still. That was great. It was a lot of work initially, but it was really amazing. Social media we're getting more into. I just find it to be so much effort.
I hear you on that one.
It is a lot of effort and it's a lot of vulnerability, and you know, it's worth it if you do it well and you can show your personality there. But to show your personality, you really have to put a lot of effort into it and be consistent, which I have not.
So you mentioned in your email that marketing you felt was a weak point for you. Is that because of the lack of social media, or are there other avenues you're looking to explore getting into?
I'm also, it's one more thing that I like have my hand in that I won't give to anybody else for some reason. And it's because I read about so many companies that like promise this, and this, and then they own their website, because I think, again, it's a personality thing. Your patients need to know you and your office and your culture. So I don't know that you can outsource that. I just don't do it enough. It's me. I need somebody else to do it. And if you have any good marketing companies you recommend, all ears. Or
I mean, I'd be happy to give you names off air, but have you like vetted any? Have you talked to any? Like, you did a whole startup without any marketing help?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really impressive. Like, I mean, I think like you said, your website's very functional and, still attractive, and love the name. Who did you use for designing it? Because all your reviews talk about how beautiful your office is.
I did that. I think I've gotten lucky in a lot of ways. And I think my biggest strength in going into this startup, like I was very on board, like with you and George. I think an acquisition is a much faster route to success and to stability. And in my area, it wasn't going to work. So I know my patient population, I know my target demographic, and I know what they wanted, and I built it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows. I think I've read through probably 20 reviews, maybe 15 of them mention the televisions in the ceiling. Enough that I texted my hygienist, like, hey, do you know anyone who can install televisions in ceilings? Because I've been thinking about it for a while, and I'm like, well, this might be a sign.
Oh,
like,
it's so easy. Well, when you're building it, it's so easy. It's a no-brainer. You can leave the patient there, and they're happy. If you're running behind or something.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, I think probably a lot of what we'll touch on today is around you starting to outsource some things. Like, I don't know the terms in the startup word. Is there a word for a mature startup? Like, when you become just a dental practice, is there like a time frame?
I have no idea, because I think that you and George produce some of the most helpful and like the greatest content there is, and you guys are not startup people, so you can't tell me. So I don't know. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I actively information seek and everything, but I do feel like everything is on my shoulders, and I feel my brain shut down, and then I don't function as well. So I kind of knew this stuff about myself, but as far as a mature practice, I have no idea how to answer that. I feel like every single month, I don't feel safe still.
Yeah, I hear you. You mentioned your vision a little bit in the email as well. A couple of things that I saw: of 400K net on 28 hours a week, and getting your practice to 80K a month collections. What other things do you have, and like your ultimate goals for the practice?
I'd be okay with working the same amount that I do right now, which is those 3 days a week. And then honestly, I do come in those other 2 days to do admin work and other things like that. My dentistry has gotten a lot better since becoming an owner. That is one nice thing, because the owner, wherever I associated, would take all the big cases and the good cases. I want to improve my clinical skills. This year I've just been trying to figure out really what my patient population needs, so that I can go to those numbers. But I can't see them. I don't see hitting those numbers. I'm hitting on really good months, 50 to 60K in adjusted production. And that's working my butt off. So I don't know. And I worry with my patient population being on the younger side, healthier side, more affluent and educated side. With those 6-month recalls, even having an active patient base of 1,500, I don't see hitting over 1 million or 1.5 million even. Like, especially not 1.5 million. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, yes. You're like, we've touched on this before on podcasts, is like, you're just so in it. You're there every day and you're running around, and it happens to a lot of us. Like, I can't possibly do any more, so then I can't make any more money. Like, I can't be 10 places at once. I can't work any harder. I'm already sweating. It's really trying to escape your current reality and envision a future reality. Say when you have 2 hygienists or even 1, and you're not the one who has to do those new patient exams where you're getting a $200 reimbursement on an hour of your time. Like that, having the hygienist allows you to do over 80,000 a month. You'll tap out, as you've kind of tapped out now, by doing it yourself. There's no way around that at the end of the day. I mean, I think, like I said, I don't know what is typical in a startup 6 months in. This seems pretty healthy to me. Getting 50 new patients a month, 90 Google reviews, a production of 50 to 60K a month, with a very tiny team, just two staff members. This seems to me like a quote unquote successful startup so far. Would you say the same thing?
Yes. Especially considering, like you pointed out, I kind of winged it with the marketing. I think I got really lucky and did my research up front very well.
So do you think you mentioned again in the email, I keep referencing this, but you found a pocket of opportunity in the demographics. Can you talk about how you figured all that out?
Yeah, I live here. So I was thinking, yeah, it does. And I was thinking, like, I wish I could buy a house in this area. Like at the time I couldn't, because I think that this area is just booming, and this area it's just really developing in a lot of really great ways. It's also a fairly transient population, which is good and bad. Good meaning, like, I will get new patients a lot and often. And I was also one of my assistants. She worked for another office that is not far away, and they are busting at the seams with patients. So, I mean, the writing was on the wall there. And then I did the dentographics report just for peace of mind. And he was actually a little bit skeptical, but it confirmed the information that I wanted to know. Nice.
So, like, are these like younger couples living in an apartment, kind of like transient? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I would say it's a young professional population. There's a lot of hospitals in the area, a lot of schools in the area. So, a lot of young doctors, a ton of nurses. Airport is not far away. It's going to be a booming area the next 10 years.
Nice. Like a lot of new developments coming in and stable.
And people are staying longer with their kids in this area before moving to the suburbs.
Gotcha. See, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I get them when they move out of the city and settle.
That's better.
It's better. It's a little better than that. They're a little older, which helps.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask what kind of do you want to get out of our talk today? We may have already touched on some things, but what are you kind of looking to get out of all this?
I want to figure out. I'm trying to figure out when I can start feeling a little bit safer than I do right now. I'm not even I don't even know what metrics to look at. I have some things written down that I felt like you were going to tell me that I needed to do, and I just haven't done them. But I feel like I'm in the dark, and I probably just need to bite the bullet and get practice by numbers. I don't really know if we're collecting well.
Wait, did you say you wrote down what you thought I would tell you to do so you do it?
No,
Did I mishear?
I wrote down what I thought you were going to tell me to do. Like, I wrote down my predictions for what you were going to tell me based on what I feel like my weaknesses are.
That's a first. Wow.
Okay, well, I'm clearly more of a dominant female than I led on to be. Sorry. I do feel really lazy. Like, in so many ways. Like, when I'm at the office, like, go, but I go home and I don't think anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you leave it all at the office. Like, you leave it in your whole body and soul out there. It shows.
Right.
I want to touch back on the feeling safer thing. Talk me through what that means to you.
I think in a startup, it's hard for your overhead to become consistent and normalized. So I'm still expanding. Like we started off with 2 chairs. We equipped 4, 2 more in February, which is really nice. And I'm very glad that we have all 4. Just for me, even. What else? There's just things that you start buying, and there's more marketing that I need to spend money on, and I just don't know where to spend the money in general, and where to keep tighter.
I mean, what spending is ultimately going to make the difference in your eyes?
Marketing.
Okay. So you know it. What's preventing you from going into it?
I think that like I said, I think I've gotten lazy, and there's some things that I know that I need to do, and I'm just not doing them. I'm just sitting there like, okay, we have enough patients today. Sure. That's great. Hopefully we'll have enough patients next week. And I think it's contributing to the fact that I don't feel safe, because every single week, I don't know. I can't, even if I did have practice by numbers, I wouldn't be able to predict next month. No idea.
What if you already are safe right now?
Doesn't feel like it. But then I hear about, some of my friends and colleagues, and comparatively, yes, we are very safe.
Yeah. I mean, it's landing to me like it's more personal than it is anything about the business. Like, you're kind of just looking for proof somewhere in the number. You can look at that number shows me that, oh, everything's good, I'm fine. When I really just think it's like, your own stuff of like, I don't know, feeling that things are going to fall apart, or, one of the normal kind of biases humans have. That's kind of what it lands to me.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But
if you did have a number that would tell me that I'm safe, that'd be great.
So if you have the answer to all my problems, I can give that to you now. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll, take that and run.
No, I mean, I already said it. Like, I honestly think this is a very healthy startup. I don't see any like red flags. I think you're doing a lot of dentistry, dollar amount on a small number of patients. I mean, I think, you're presenting a lot of treatment. The treatment plans you present are over $2,000 on average. You're getting a lot accepted, 82% in this month we're looking at, which is January. I mean, you're diagnosing a lot. So this whole narrative of your patients not needing much dentistry, the numbers don't show that. You're diagnosing more than most dentists, like percentage of patients. I really just feel like you're in a phase where you've tapped yourself out in your current role, and that without switching your roles, you'll stay there. You'll grow in patients, but you'll more or less stay around where you are.
Sure.
So there's my short answer for you, but I think everything's good.
Okay.
I'll give you what you're asking for. Fine. Okay. What else did you want to, get out of our call here?
I would like a direction. I feel like I'm the big thinker in this situation, and I don't have a lot of people to bounce ideas off of, and I feel it's pretty lonely. Honestly, it's a pretty lonely place to be. And my staff is helpful, but they can only do so much. I brainstorm some stuff with them, but I don't really have anybody to bounce ideas off of. So direction, bigger picture. And then, I mean, I do the math on how to add a hygienist and add production. And it's still like, doesn't feel, unless I'm getting 80 new patients a month, I still don't see how I'm going to get to, the 80 to $100,000 in production every month.
Okay. All right. Let's get into some of that. So big picture direction. I hate this word, but what is like the brand of your office? Like, who are you?
The brand. Ooh. I don't know. We're just chill.
I thought that was a big word in the startup community, so I thought I was kind of pandering there. But no, like what is your office in 5 years? Like, what do you do? What, like, you're big on reputation, right? So like talking to that a bit.
So like I said, I live in this area, so I see my patients out all the time, and I cannot do anything on them that I don't believe in or feel comfortable in. So I have to do really good work. That's very important to me. Brand wise, I want people to feel happy to come see us, as happy as I can to come see the dentist, feel comfortable, feel like they're talking to friends. So emotionally, that's what we try to convey to our patients. Physically, the office, the way I've built it, I hope that it screams cosmetic dentistry. Yeah.
Is that a passion like clinically for you as well?
Honestly, I'm still figuring out my clinical passion. I don't know. CE is very expensive, and I've taken a lot of CE that was not worth it. And it's very time consuming as well. So I figured, you know what, I'm solid enough in my bread and butter dentistry that I'm going to go figure out what this patient population needs and work on those skills.
Okay. I mean, I love that brand, kind of what we got to there, a family practice with a spa-like feel. Like that's what you're going for. It has all the benefits of a practice that's been there for 50 years, and then all of the good things of a practice who's just started. Love that. So you've been there for 6 months. What procedures are you sending out a lot? Like where is the pocket of opportunity for your clinical skills?
I send out implants. I have a CT machine that I did buy because I wanted to do implants. It's another one of those things where there's a lot of CE for it that I would like to take before I feel like I should be doing it on my patients. I could be wrong about that. Maybe there's like a weekend course that I could just start doing some stuff and then kind of ease into it that way. But there's not actually that many patients in my practice that need implants. So I'm just worried about spending a lot of money and time doing like a comprehensive implant continuum that doesn't give me a return. I refer out upper molars for endo, and I do most extractions myself. I'm starting to get more into thirds. I am IV sedation certified, so I have to get the facility permitted for that. That will take some time.
Wait a second. You're IV sedation certified, and you're hesitant about doing an implant course?
Only because of the return on that.
You don't think the return's there?
With my patient population, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Okay.
No, I couldn't disagree more. Like adding IV to implants, I think is like such a great combo. I wish I had the IV thing. But you already have the scanner. All you need is a one solid course. It's really a one-time investment plus the equipment. And then you can market for that. And you'll be surprised what you find out there, even in your current patients. But you're going to get new patients who need implants. You're already good at finding them, new patients in general. Oh, I totally see that for you.
It's fun. I mean, I like surgery, so I would like to do that.
Yeah, and that was my other point that I forgot to say, that, you're already doing the most complicated thing, which is taking out teeth and difficult teeth. I mean, adding implants to that is not a lot of different skills you have to learn.
I think I just do so many crappy implants, and I just think to myself, like, I don't want to do that. I don't think taking out teeth is that hard. But I really do see a lot of crappy implants.
Yeah, there's definitely there's more feel to it. It's a little bit of it's a slight learning curve.
I think it's just that you are responsible for the outcome of it for years down the road. Maybe is why I really want to make sure that I'm well trained in it before I start doing it.
I don't know. People get hung up on that. You can fix it.
Okay.
You take it out. You take it out. You graft it. You try again.
That's true. That is something that I always go with. If I mess something up, I can fix it.
Yeah, and you're gonna stand behind your work. You don't charge them again. Like you'll find ways as an owner, as I do, to make it right.
Yeah.
And in 99% of cases, you make it right, and it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. The
1% people, well, they're gonna be pissed off about something anyways.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, in a short, before we kind of wrap for part one, I mean, that's the roadmap I see for you is, hygienist, and then this year bring in implants, more of a focus on Invisalign, which you're already offering, Continuing the good new patient numbers you're seeing, looking to outsource that, not so much to be more effective, just to free up you a little bit.
Right.
And one last thing I wanted to ask is, I feel like it takes a specific mindset to be wildly successful in a startup. It's being okay with delaying current earnings and investing for future earnings is like a big common thing I see of people who are really able to make it big quick.
Yeah.
And I sense from you more of a hesitancy towards that, more of like a hoarder. You're like hoarding your cash all in your thing so you don't have to spend it. So like talk about that.
But it's not like I'm paying myself. My personal living expenses are incredibly low. I'm
sure.
I'm very frugal personally.
Because you're afraid it's going to fall apart. So you got to have it all. You got to have it all in the bank account. So if when that comes, I'm ready.
Right. I don't know how to fix that, but you're absolutely correct. That is something that I am very much. I am hoarding the cash and not spending it.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I'm not. I don't mean to paint it as a problem, like something you need to fix. It's just it's a hindrance to growing to the practice you want, and like as fast as you want. So
yeah, and I think that when you asked about direction, I would like to know what direction to go with the cash that you have.
All right. Well, that's a good teaser for next time. We can get into that. So we'll pause here for part 1. And we'll see everyone next week back with Katie. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that part 1 with Katie. I know I certainly did. So to give a little window for everyone listening, George and I kind of talked about what we're going to do with these intros, outros beforehand. And for this one, George was even just talking off air, particularly fired up. Like,
man, yeah.
This really on the edge of his seat.
So
take it away.
Part 1 and part 2, there's a couple things that were mentioned, and they are like pet peeves in my side. And dentists doing hygiene, I mean, like, does anybody have to guess how I feel about that? Oh my gosh. Like, if I was in the startup world, I would open with a hygienist. Mm-hmm. Like, I would totally be in that camp of like very far left, like I always am in the hygiene space. And, the fact that she doesn't have one yet, and the fact that she's not even getting one full time, like, yeah, those are annoying to me, to be honest. And part 2, you guys talk about it more, and that'll be like, I'm really fired up about why, her mindset stuff around that. It's just, right. We all have things that annoy us, and dentists doing hygiene, it doesn't affect me whether she does hygiene or not. It's just annoying to me that, like the perceived expense and the, right. But I do get the point that you guys are making. Right now, it's very hard to hire a hygienist. Right now, we're recording this in June of 2020.
I think hiring all staff is hard right now.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. All staff. And so as unemployment, this dream of an unemployment ends, and as a lot of dentists realize what's going to happen to their hygiene schedules in October, I think there's going to be a lot more available hygienists in October than there will be right now. So, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens to the hygiene job market. Luckily, we were able to get a 5th when we were looking. So we should be good for a couple months until after October. So we'll see what happens then. But yeah, I mean, I think the hygiene market is very interesting right now.
Yeah. And the point about Katie too is, like, although she's more of a chill person, she's also a control freak at the office. Like, she has to have her hands in everything. Like,
yeah, I think she made a comment. Like, I guess I'm not as chill as I like let on.
No, like, she's not operating with her chill. Like, she comes home and she's chill, and she's like talking to her, like, even off air, like, super awesome. I would like be friends with this person, but yeah, she's set up in practice, total control.
Oh yeah, and I first of all, on this topic, so there are, every once in a while, I think we both have this. Like, you had this with me last week handling the treatment planning stuff. The way you handled the safety metric, oh man, I think this is the second time that I can distinctly remember, and both times you were in the interview when the guest came on to look for the metric that lets them know that everything's okay. And it's like there's the volatility index in stocks. It's like there needs to be like the volatility index in PBN that lets you know that everything is okay and this isn't going to come burning to the ground. And right now that does not exist. And I think that you were like, yeah, there's no metric that's going to make you feel different. You just have to like feel different.
Well, the way I
love
really
that.
recognize it with when I started coming on TPO, which you guys have probably heard a few of them in June, like pre-owners will come, bring a practice, and say, find the red flags for me that I shouldn't buy it. Like, just tell me why this is not a good opportunity. And that's kind of the way owners operate in a different realm. Like, tell me why I'm okay, and everything's gonna be fine. And like you pointed to, like, it doesn't exist. Like, there's some risk in there. Just, you're a business owner. That's kind of part of it.
Yeah, and you were like, look, I mean, you're a startup, like you have issues, but like your treatment planning is fine. Like you could do better. I mean, 35% crowns. I'm actually surprised that you didn't. Matt's pretty strong on the 60% crown. I typically am okay with 40 to 50% conversion on your crowns, and you are definitely in the 60% club, and you expect that of your clients. And I found it interesting that you didn't harp on that more in this interview, because that is one thing that you consider to be important, and
and especially because like she was using her whole, I'm going to do the hygiene so I can build up this great, rapport. And then she's also
like
not selling.
Acceptance.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you're right. I could have pointed to that. I mean, it totally dispounds her theory that she has to do all the hygiene exams.
Yeah. And that was another pet peeve of mine, was that the hygienist can offer just as great of an experience with the patient as the dentist can. I think that's, there's a lot of fear that comes up in this. And I'll talk about that more in part 2. That's part of what has me fired up. But I mean, and right, like she's cool. Like we both know her personally, and she's cool. Like this, don't get me wrong. Just certain stuff that gets under our skin. It's nothing personal. But I wanted to talk about the startup maturity. I find this to be a very common theme.
Mm-hmm.
People, it's like they think the startup is like it's not a regular practice, it's a startup. And it's like at some point now you're a regular practice. Like you can't be a kid forever.
Right.
And like at some point you're an adult. And I think that like Ashley, like we talked about 3 weeks ago, she's like, now in my regular practice, I have all these problems that I didn't want. I just wanted a startup,
I know, startup is so cool. It's
new. It's like the bandana branding, so cool. Like,
hey, I wear bandanas now. I don't want to hear you.
I know, that's why I'm calling bandana.
They're headbands, actually. But continue.
That's why. So Matt comes on with our Zoom calls with bandanas, and so that's him being cool in the startup crowd in my mind. And so, they want to focus on their branding. They want to design the floor plan. They want to, where does the drinking fountain go? And then it's like, okay, cool. Like, what am I going to say on my Facebook Live? And then it's like, okay, now you have a mature practice. Like, now you're like everyone else. Startup branding is over. Now it's real life. And it's just like, I don't know. I call it a year. 2 recare cycles, you're a mature practice.
That sounds right.
I think once you have like one hygienist who's like seeing patients and you're having a hard time fitting in new patients in hygiene, and you have a front desk and a couple assistants, yeah, like you're a mature practice. I think the one thing that's interesting is Scott Luna of Breakaway. Obviously, he is the startup guy. I think like him and Jamie Amos are the 2 industry leaders in startups. And I know from sitting in his seminar, he recommends second assistant before hygienist, so that the dentist can do prophies more efficiently. From a cost perspective, that obviously him and I disagree. I know Graham Dursley's a startup person. He agrees on the hygienist before the second assistant. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. But I just wanted to offer that perspective to our audience, because it seems like that question was being raised. But I think, obviously I would feel that she needs a hygienist. And 50 new patients a month, like that's great. Yeah. And we'll talk about that more in part 2. But she's doing well. I mean, she's
especially
doing well.
Where she's at. She's in a major metro area, like downtown kind of place with a lot of dentists, and she's found that little pocket.
Yeah, and the branding is working. I mean,
see, the branding's important, as I said.
Yeah, no, you brought up the branding. It was great.
I feel like you're being facetious here.
Not really, kind of. I mean, I understand that there's an importance to it. I just find dental office branding to be like a really I don't know. I think you're discounting it. I think it honestly. I am. I do discount it for sure.
Like you're very. I mean, so you're succeeding despite not having like a brand that's different, which is fine. Yeah. But like a differentiator, like I'd love like the family practice in a high tech facility. I think that's the coolest thing you could be doing as a dentist. Like the TV, like I said on air, like all her reviews, TV in the ceiling, like the word ceiling, they have a little like keywords on the top that's in all their reviews. It was in all of them. So like, I don't know. People care about some of this stuff.
I don't think I've ever once looked up a practice underwater guest's Google reviews. I'm actually impressed.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Yeah, that's That is definitely, I mean, I come on knowing nothing about their practice and learning it all on air. So, I mean, that's definitely where the preparation that Matt puts in shows, the fact that he noticed that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is an area I'm obviously not an expert, right? Startup branding,
Me too.
like, yeah, I mean, this is not my forte, and I don't pretend to. I want to be as hands off, as possible, and this is very doctor dependent, owner dependent, building a relationship with your mass audience. Like, that's not me. So yeah, it's an area that I make fun of, but it has a lot of value. But
did you also have some thoughts on the affluent population being younger?
Oh yeah. I think this is good because we both actually practice in that similar population. I think yours a little bit older than mine.
Mine's a bit older, yeah.
Yeah, but I have a young affluent population, and our revenue per patient is percentiles of more productive practices, and I think that, like, the fear of, and I'll talk about this more in part 2 as well, but yeah, like, you can produce a lot off of unproductive or of younger affluent people. That is for sure possible. Like, I can speak from experience on that one.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like, she expected some cliff to fall off, after she saw them again. There'll be no dentistry left. Well, you sold 35% of your crowns, so there's going to be at least 65%.
Yeah,
like, that's still there. That hasn't gone anywhere. But anyways, yeah, I think it's totally possible.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like we were a little too harsh on her in the outro. She's actually doing a lot better. But anyway, that
no, and like,
water.
George has known this person. I just met her, and I think she's awesome. So we'll wrap there. We'll get to part 2. We'll be a little nicer next time. So, Katie, if it came off as harsh, I apologize.
No promises on the niceness.
Okay. All right. We'll see everyone next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Practice Underwater. We'll see you guys next week.
If you're interested in one-on-one coaching with either Dr. George Hariri or Dr. Matt Garino, our contact emails are in the show notes.
And if you're interested in being on Practice Underwater as a guest, where we could look at your practice anonymously, you can go ahead and contact the email in the show notes and follow those directions to get on the show. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next week on Practice Underwater.